What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Strength Solutions Podcast. We're on Apple and Spotify. You can rate and view us. Check us out on YouTube. Leave a comment down below and hit the subscribe and put us on your notifications. Then, if you're a website, strengthsolutionspodcast.com. We have free blogs, guides, and programs for purchase. Then strengthsolutionspodcast@gmail.com to give us fitness questions that you may want us to answer on here. And then social media, Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram, Strength Solutions Podcast. I'm Strength Solutions Edwin.
I'm Strength Solutions Nathaniel.
Okay, guys. I'm going to start with a little story here. I was struggling sleeping the other day. Mm-hmm. And I ran out of magnesium glycinate. And I was like, oh, it's okay. I just don't need those things. Let's just try to go to sleep without them. Dude, my brain was going crazy. My body would calm down. And Amanda was like, sometimes I'll rub your back and all of a sudden you kind of relax a little bit and you go to bed. She's like, you're not going to bed at all. I was 2 or 3 days.
Fucking rubbing the shit out of your back.
There was 2 or 3 days. I'm just whoa,
damn.
I couldn't just cut it off. And there was one day I was like, okay, we got to order it. And then I took my L-theanine that night and it kind of calmed my brain down. Right. But I wanted to talk about the importance of sleep. I think too many times we talk about fitness, nutrition, but a lot of it starts with sleep, whether you get a good workout, whether that you can handle stress throughout your day, whether you're able to make better nutritional decisions. Mm-hmm. It literally starts with the sleep. And how do we get better sleep is the question, right? So in my case, I do a lot of these things, but I'll start with the supplements that I usually tell people to take is L-theanine and magnesium glycinate.
Okay. Yeah.
And remember that one time I gave it to you, you're like, dang, I got the best sleep of my life.
Yeah, I love magnesium. I don't take it quite as often anymore. I don't feel like I've had as much issue sleeping, which is good. But it definitely made a huge difference when I was taking it. I know some people will kind of experiment with melatonin and things like that. I've never actually taken melatonin. I don't think ever.
So you're supposed to do a microdose of melatonin, not so much 5 milligrams or whatever. It's supposed to be a microgram.
Okay. I
can't remember the amount off the top of my head, but it should be micrograms on there. And I think if you look at Legion's formula,
okay,
it has micrograms of melatonin and magnesium in there.
Got it.
And the reason probably magnesium doesn't affect you as much is I'm actually more deficient naturally from magnesium. I probably use more than you do because I'm better. But it can make a huge difference, right? As a supplement. Now, what people don't talk about is set up your sleep like you would set up your workout routine. So what are things you could do at the nighttime to set up that mood? Put that jazz sound. No, in reality,
light some candles.
In reality, you want the temperature of the room to be kind of cool. You want it to be 65 to 70 degrees as much as possible. If you think about evolutionary wise, we usually slept in caves.
Yep.
Or if we're up north, we were in colder weather, typically. And so we try to keep the body as cool as possible. And if you think about the rhythm of sleep, the sun goes down, temperature goes down. And so for your core body temperature should go down with
biologically.
And as the sun raises, temperature gets warmer and your body recognizes that temperature change and being warmer as well.
That's interesting. I've never thought of it that way. Yeah.
Really? So how they have the sleep aid beds and stuff like that. So typically what they would tell people to do is cool your bed down early at night and then have your bed raise temperature slowly. As you go through, if you're able to get a sleep aid kind of temperature control.
Yeah.
The other thing you should do is look at light, right? So right now we have lights beaming at us. We're under all these LEDs. I typically turn off my lights, make sure when the sun goes down, I'm literally just using lamps, maybe have a TV on, but it's pretty dark in my house. And I think too many times people leave lights or look at their cell phones all night and they're like, I can't go to sleep.
Even if maybe you're, for whatever reason, unable to do that, you work late or something like that on the computer, you work at home, the blue light filter glasses and things like that are things that I've used. And I feel like it's made a difference too, because all of my glasses have a blue light filter on them. So I pretty much wear it constantly. And I mean, I'm always on the screen. Everybody's always on a screen. Let's be real, right? Even whether it's your phone
not me, bro.
Yeah, you're perfect. Yeah,
I'm perfect. Remember, we just talked to those.
I remember.
Talked to Jess. I'm perfect.
That's hilarious. Yeah, I mean, wearing it, I feel like has made a difference. Maybe that's part of the reason why I have been able able to get to sleep more. But I feel like that is a huge one in terms of reasons why people can't get to sleep, like leaving a TV on, going to bed, things like that. You're just blasting yourself with like sunlight essentially. You know?
And you don't want to watch something that's very action and drama based, right? Because then your brain is just so active creating all these scenarios. And to me, it happened yesterday. I was watching, I think it's called Bad Influence. And it was like 7:00 at night that I was watching this. So it affects me a lot more than others. And people are like, why do you like comedies and shows that you already watch? It's because I think a lot, right?
Yeah.
And I watched this Bad Influence. It was about kids that are influencers, like 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, who get taken advantage of their parents on Netflix. Yeah.
I think I was watching the documentary, right?
It's crazy.
It's about the girl.
Piper?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. It is crazy.
And then there's a thing called Brand Army. Dude, that's crazy concept app. Brand Army. You could be 13 and produce content, but you have to be 18 to subscribe.
Wow. Oh, what?
And then the Meta did an analysis. Most teenage content is viewed by older men.
Yes, I saw that.
That is insane.
It's a little concerning.
I remember when my kids wanted to be influencers, and I was like, well, you come up with the content and you do all that stuff. I never once forced them. And they didn't want to do it really. It was just something that they saw.
Yeah, because every kid is.
They knew who those kids were.
Yeah. So I don't think my daughter knew who those kids were, although I haven't shown it to her. But Camille did. Like she remembered when her nieces would watch those people. That's why she wanted to watch it, because she was like, dude, I saw, like, I'd watch this girl's YouTube channel, like when and I was like, what the fuck? That was pretty weird. If you guys haven't seen it, I would go watch it.
Just realize when there's money involved, parents will give up their kids.
Yeah. It's funny because
with all the red flags,
watching it and everything like that, I was, you sit there as a parent and you're like, why would anybody do that? Why would you allow it to happen? And you're not in the situation. You don't know what it's like. But
there were a lot of red flags.
Oh my God, dude. It was like from the beginning, it's concerning.
The
and
person,
like,
Megan.
Yeah. And who was it? There was somebody that said that like her son's dad wouldn't allow him to like go because he would.
No, the mom wanted to take him out, and then the son's dad.
Oh yeah, and then he
allowed him back in.
Yeah, dude. I'm
pretty sure the dad got paid.
Yeah, of course. So sad.
It's very sad. But let's get back to what we do best: fitness and sleep. So we talked about how in nighttime we typically set up our routine and stuff, but sleep doesn't start there. Sleep actually starts in the morning. And most people you see in the morning, they wake up, they put their sunglasses on, and they drive to work.
Yep.
That's the worst thing you could do. You want to get sunlight in your eyes as early as possible to help set that circadian rhythm.
Yeah.
And the light tends to be like a low red, right? And it's more a rejuvenating light. And so like that's when you like to go out and walk for the morning. It kind of rejuvenates the body and feels a little bit better. And so you set yourself up with sunlight.
Yes.
The other part is we're meant to move and exercise. So usually we don't put this in here, but I'm going to put it in here this time. Exercise is vital to sleep because you need to use up a certain amount of energy throughout the day to kind of help your body relax and feel better.
I think it also helps in like waking up, right? Like I know a lot of my clients who come in early, they like coming in early because it sets up their whole day, right? And like you said, it expends a certain amount of energy so that by the time that you are tired at night, right, you're actually tired and want to go to bed. I do feel like I sleep better on days when I work out as opposed to days that I don't, because I just have energy and I'm still ready to go or need to do something or whatever. But I mean, think about a whole day of working outside or something, man, you can't wait for nighttime when you're just ready to knock out and go to sleep.
Oh yeah.
And so it makes a huge difference in your ability to get to sleep and also stay asleep.
And when we talk about sleep, we talk about like you could sleep when you die when you're in 20s, right?
Yeah.
and so me and Amanda were having this conversation is why do we glorify the 20s so much?
Yes.
And I was like, I feel so much better now. My mental capacity is so much better. And it was really, our society is kind of like backwards in it. Like you should not be glorifying the 20s. That's when you're most confused. That's when you think you know it all.
You have no money.
The only thing that you have in your 20s that you do not have is physical capability.
Fair. Yeah. And maybe that's the reason why, right? Because maybe people that are older look back and maybe they're not looking back at the things they did in their 20s, but maybe the fact that they could have done more physically, right? They should have gone on those trips, or they should have started exercising, or I wish I had taken care of my body more because now I'm dealing with all these issues and things like that. But, you know, I look at my life a lot because I kind of always tell people, like, I didn't have 20s, right? My daughter was born when I was 19. And so it's like that whole time span where people would have been out, I don't know, partying and having fun or doing all the things you do in your 20s. I was like stuck at home raising a kid. And I don't.
Why do you make it sound bad? Like
I don't.
Stuck at home to raise a kid.
I don't. And that's the reason why, because I feel like it wouldn't have been any better. In fact, I feel like it was probably a better use of my 20s. When I had all the energy and when I had all the, you know, physical ability and capability and stuff like that to stay up when my daughter's crying and go back to work the next day and just kind of get through the day and stuff. Because I look at it now, you know, I'm about to be 29 tomorrow when this podcast is recorded. And so I look back and I'm like, what would I have done? What would I have done in my 20s? I don't even fucking know.
You know what's crazy? Because knowing you, right?
Yeah.
You probably would have struggled mentally.
Yep.
Because you would have had too much time to think.
Mm-hmm.
And then you wouldn't. This is where I think kids do a good job for a lot of men. I'm not going to say all, because some men just don't care. But when you have a kid, you tend to step up.
Yeah. It, like, you know, I look at it and while, you know, I guess I could have had more time or something, who knows? But I look at it and I'm like, I think it was probably maybe one of the better things that happened to me, because it was a positive impact in forcing me to, you know, make decisions that I probably would have, like you said, thought about for too long and never made a decision at all, like paralysis, right? It forced me to go to school and finish. It changed my career path. It, you know, set me up to where I am now. And if none of that stuff happened, then I wouldn't be, you know, on the track that I am to success, so to speak, you know, because I feel like guys, and I say this often, like, I feel like they need something to live for, so to speak. Like,
I think not just guys, I think people in general. So like when we worship materials, or you'll see, like in my generation, because I'm closer to 40, right? Whoa. That women who tend to be single or unhappy, or like the amount of antidepressants go on because they're hitting that menopause stage and they don't have kids, and they're like, I wish I had kids.
Yeah. And
you're really seeing that affect women in a different way, because kids do give them purpose too as well, right?
Yeah.
But people could find purpose through work. Like there's a subset of women, subset of men who could find so much purpose through work that they're fine.
You just
each
need
individual has their own purpose, right?
Yeah.
At the end of the day. And it's the one that gave us purpose, was our kids.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, man, I don't know why people do glorify their 20s. Like as I'm getting closer to 30, people are like, oh, it's last year in your 20s. Like you better live it up, you know, do this and make sure you do that. And
my
I'm
30s were way better than my 20s.
And so I've heard that too which is funny that you say that, because the same people that are telling me to like live it up are the same people I've asked, what was your favorite decade? And they say probably my 30s or 40s. And I'm like, well, then what's the point of the 20s? So it's just funny. But yeah, it is an interesting concept.
You know what else is good about your 20s?
Yeah.
Your sperm count. And the sperm races.
The first one just happened, right?
Dude, that is wild.
Are they like wanking it off?
Yeah, they're wanking in, they're trying to ejaculate, and then their sperm goes through a little tube thing and like try to race to the end.
Dude, what?
It's wild.
Does this count as child labor? Are we racing children?
Are we racing children? That's wild. Well, you know, in certain states, they don't want you to ejaculate because that's murdering children.
Oh, God, that's crazy, man. And it's like, and people were like betting on it, right? Can't you bet on it and stuff?
That's wild.
That's
right?
wild, man.
But this is what happens when you have too much money in a society and you have guys thinking, what is the dumbest thing we can do? I can tell you no woman thought about this. It was all guys.
Yeah. And no woman is interested in this either.
Yeah. All the guys are like, oh, this is so cool.
Like, how would you even, like, I don't know, decide to make them go faster? Is that even possible? Can you train that? Like,
it's just based off of your health, right?
Just genetics,
so the healthier you are, genetics, the more motility to have. I wonder what mine would have been, man.
Interesting.
I'm just curious
Let's
now.
race, bro.
Well, I'm older, bro. I can't. Also, I don't have anymore.
Oh yeah, damn it.
I'm cut. We can't race.
Damn, bro.
It'll zip out and then straight down.
You're out for the rest of the season, bro.
Out for the season.
Damn.
Injury report. Vasectomy.
Shit.
Speaking of sperm into an egg that turns into chickens, what is this chicken thing you showed me?
Fuck, man. So I got chickens. Did I tell you about this?
I saw a picture.
Yeah. So I was at the store the other day. I was at Tractor Supply and I have my daughter, which is probably a bad idea. So we get into the store and they got...
I'm going to stop you.
Go ahead.
Having your wife or daughter is the worst thing to have at a store.
Any store.
Any store. It could be the Tiddlywink store. We're going to come out with Tiddlywinks all of a sudden.
Yeah. Fuck. Got too many damn Tiddlywinks.
We're going to have like thumbtacks on the wall.
So I walk in and they have this big like display in the middle and there's a bunch of little baby chickens. And my daughter's like, oh my God, like they're so cute, blah, blah. And I was like, man, you know, Camille has mentioned wanting chickens for a while.
Because she a country girl.
Because she a country ass girl. So I like took a picture of him and I was like, look, man, chickens. And she like calls me. She's like, dude, get 2 of them. They're like so cute. And I was like, come on, man. Like, I'm not going to buy chickens. And she was like, no, just get 2. And like, you know, we could raise them and they'll make eggs and blah, blah. And I was like, all right, let me think about this. So I like hang up the phone. I'm kind of walking around the store. I'm getting actually what I'm there to get. And my daughter's like, oh my God, like, please can we get him? Like, she's just in my ear the whole time. And I was like, oh my God, dude. Like, I don't know. Because I have this thing. This is just like my personal morality. I refuse to get a pet that I'm not going to take care of properly. I feel you. I'm not going to get a fucking dog. I'm not going to get a bird. I'm not going to get whatever just because my kid's like, need the animal. And like, because I took care of too many animals when I was young and didn't take care of them properly and they all just died. And I'm like, it's not fair. It's not right. We shouldn't be doing this as like humans. Right. And so that was like my moral struggle there. And I was like, dude, like, if we get them, can we actually take care of them? Like, what does this actually entail?
Well, let me guess, the girls double team.
So I call Camille back and I was like, all right, dude. I was like, look, if I get chickens, what's the deal here? Like, give me the rundown of how to actually take care of these. What's the, you know, what is this going to look like? Whatever. So she's like, all right, so if we're going to get them, you know, we need this, we need that. We're going to have to do this, blah, blah, like all these things and everything like that. And I was like, okay. Are you like for real about this? You know, like you really want this? And she was like, yeah, man, like whatever. And I was like, all right, dude, I'm going to trust your expertise, you know, and take care of chickens. So I go and she's like, you got to get 2 because I don't know if you know this, but chickens are like flock animals. Like they have to be in a pair or more. You can't just have a solo chicken. It'll die. Like it just needs another chicken. So she's like, you got to get 2. And I was like, all right, okay. So I go up to the guy and I was like, all right, man, like I think I'm gonna get these chickens. Like, can you help me? So whatever, he goes inside and he like grabs 2 of them and I was like, okay, cool, like that's all. And he was like, oh no, you have to get 4. And I was like, huh? And he was like, yeah, you like the minimum is 4 chickens. And I was like, God,
4 chickens, so not just
like,
1.
Yeah. So I was like,
did he say a reason why you have to have 4?
I'm assuming that, well, he said it was store policy, but I'm assuming it's store policy because they're flock animals and you need to have. Okay. And I didn't even see it, but Camille had texted me after she had hung up and told me to get 3 after all. Because she was like, if you get 2 and one of them dies, like they call it dying of a broken heart because the next one will just fucking die.
Really?
Yeah. Like they like literally need to be in like a
That's
group.
probably why they do 4. Okay.
Right. So I was like, well, fucking, I guess, give me fucking 4 of them. So fucking bring these chickens home, man. And now I got chickens in my house and they're in the garage and they're doing pretty good now. But apparently chickens get to like full grown, like level within 18 weeks. They're like laying eggs. Really? So it's fast as fuck. And in those first 18 weeks, they eat 75 pounds of food.
Dang.
God damn, dude. They just fucking go through it like crazy. Yeah. So this is like their second week being alive at this point. And I mean, they're doing pretty good. They're pretty cute. But
I just know I'm about to get some eggs, guys.
Yeah, bro. I mean, we're about to have like too damn many. I think the first year they don't lay them like quite as well, but they get like better at it. And so in a while, I'm probably going to have like, yeah. And so, fucking chickens.
Dude, that's crazy.
I was like, it's like Noah's Ark up in this bitch, man. We got 2 of everything.
Speaking of chickens, the Tesla stock is looking like a chicken.
Uh-oh.
Dude, did you see it? It went from like 2.5 to like 500,000, then it goes up and then down. And like he's left the Doge and all that stuff. It's wild.
Oh, he left?
I think he's leaving.
What?
I'm not 100% certain, but there's rumors.
Dude, it's just falling apart, man.
I just think a lot of people don't want wealthy businessmen in politics.
No.
I think that's what it comes down to.
I don't think anybody did. And I don't think anybody realized that they didn't.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think the
Until
people
this.
that voted until now. It's funny. Local elections are happening here in San Antonio, and I went to go vote the other day in my local election because that's where the change happens. And there's all these people outside, and I think that they just put in term limits for mayors in San Antonio at least. And so our current mayor is out, so there's no incumbent. So there's like 25 people running for mayor right now.
That's wild.
And yeah, I mean, you can go online and kind of look at all their stances and stuff like that. And it's funny because there's this
all across the spectrum.
There was this one guy, and I can't remember his name, but he was like, I'm not a politician. I've never been a politician. This is my first year ever doing anything. So if I'm elected, like things are going to be different and blah, blah. And I was like, isn't that kind of like what like Trump ran on? Like he's not a politician. It's going to be different. I'm not going to I'm going to drain the swamp and all that stuff. And it's
I don't know, Marco Rubio is part of this staff.
And
I don't think
like,
he drained it at all.
Yeah. And my thing is that I'm like, I don't think it's about politician versus politician. I think it's about people versus the ultra wealthy. And I think that that's the problem because you get in office and you just kind of do a little bit of the same thing that everybody's been doing no matter what. And it's like, weren't we running off this like platform, grassroots of like weren't they saying that he was going to run as
I think where people are
populist,
Yeah, people are tired of politics, I think, because they don't see anything for their taxes. They don't see anything getting done besides it's still going to like big businesses and stuff like that. And it made me like look at my Instagram profile. I do a very good job of looking at both sides. So I have this guy who's all about anti-porn.
Okay.
And then I have like these sex experts that are like, porn's great.
Yeah.
And then I have these very conservative people. Then I have these very liberal people. And I go to each side and each side makes a good point for themselves. Right. And I started thinking a little bit more and just talk about porn versus no porn, just because it's a simple concept.
Because you love it.
I love it. Yes. All about it. Is in some relationships, having porn may save their relationship because sex is not a thing and it helps them get in the mood and stuff like that.
So they can explore together.
Other relationships, it may be a hindrance because either the woman or guy is addicted. And notice I said the women too, because there are women who are addicted to porn. And then they can't get it up. They don't get for their partner. They live in this fantasy land. And so this idea of good versus bad needs to stop too. I think we need to look at things as like a mixed system, right? We got to look at things as there's things that conservatives say is pretty true and works really well. And there's things that liberals say that works really true and really well. It's how to pick from each little scenario and each little thing to make the difference.
Yeah.
And you can even go with energy. People are like, all about renewable energy and stuff like that, but it's not efficient enough. So you need electric and gas. You may need nuclear energy. And it's just the more diversity you have, the better. Oh my God, I said diversity, equity, and
our DEI on
oh my God, DEI on energy. But like the more diverse you can make things in every scope and make it for each individual, the better we can be as a society and a culture, right?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I have different needs than the needs that you have. We live in different parts. We drive different cars. I think too many times we're just trying to give from our point of view, and that's the problem, right? And a lot of times I was at church with a client of mine, and in the sermon, the guy did a great job. Like the first thing was like he talked about was humility. Like Peter had humility, saying he was just one of them. And it's a big part of life is having enough humility, right? And being humble.
Not thinking you're better
than everyone. And I think that's the problem we're having right now with a lot of people is humility. And then he talked about authority. Authority is a good thing because you have leadership, right? but it's a bad thing if it's abused, or if you just give everything to the people, right? Then you're not really being a leader at all.
It's like being a parent.
So there's a fine line, right, of good authority. And then he talked about integrity, and that's missing too as well. Like, I love this sermon that he had. Is, you know, I was really tired on Saturday. I was telling my client, like, we were at a baby shower, we were up all night. I really didn't want to go, but I told you I was going to be there, and holding my word and integrity,
accountability.
It's accountability, and really, I think that's what's missing too, right? Integrity, right? And then, you know, having intimate relationships with people. He said with God, right? But we need intimate relationships with our friends, our family, and our community.
You can make that apply, you know?
Right. And I think those 4 things is what's missing a lot of, right? Within our politicians. They're not intimate with their communities.
Yeah.
They don't have integrity.
Yeah.
They're not humble, and they're not real leaders. We need real leaders back in life.
Yeah.
Like, real leaders don't yell like these people that are in office right now, right?
Right.
Real leaders are not like Joe Biden, who is incoherent. So people who are thinking I'm against Trump or Biden, like, I'm not. I'm for people who want to be like real leaders and really help people.
Yeah.
I think that's the issue. And when you become too cult-like or too much one-sided, you lose those 4 steps of humility, integrity, authority, and intimacy to help people. I wonder,
like, when the last time, at least in America, we had, you know, what would kind of fall under the line of like real leader. Like, I feel like it's been decades, you know, since we've had someone that's like not
I would even say the Obama administration or the Bush generation, like, as far as I could go back from what I know, right? And obviously Clinton didn't have integrity with his wife in office, right? So that takes him out, right?
Tough, yeah.
So, like, you probably have to go pretty far back. It's pretty hard, right? Like, to think about it. And maybe there was more Senate, and maybe someone like McConnell or Pelosi went in with a lot of integrity, but they're not coming out with a lot of integrity.
Yeah, something happened along the way.
What was that? No, and it makes me think too. I had a question this week about pain, and right now I feel like we're all in pain and stuff like that. But let's talk about like physical pain, and like we talk about like movement quality. And I was trying to talk to this person and tell them, like, you know what, maybe your nutrition's causing your pain. Maybe inflammation from nerve or stress is going to cause it. And I think people underrate all that stuff.
It's funny. I was actually just having a conversation with a client today about that. He's been going through some stuff with like family and things, and I won't say anything about it, but he's been having a pain issue. And we were talking about it today, and I could tell that he was kind of like coming in a little stressed out, because I was like, how are you? And he was like, I'm okay. And I was like, I don't believe you at all. And he was like, well, you know, I'm going through this and that and whatever. And he was like, and you know, I really got to do something about my pain, because it's starting to like kind of really bother me, and it's not really going away. Some days it feels better and some days it doesn't. And I've been trying to work on it with him quite a bit. And, you know, like I was telling him too, I was like, you know, like, it's at this point I would have expected to see some improvement, you know, but you kind of tell me, you know, some days it's cool and some days it's really bothering you. And not without any like physical thing happening, you know, like it's not like he worked all day in the yard, you know, that week and really bothered his arm or whatever it was. And I kind of stopped him, and I was like, you know, like, not to invalidate your pain at all or anything, but I was like, do you think that maybe it's gotten worse, or that you noticed it when there was like a bigger stressful event happening in your life? And he was like, you know, I never really thought about it. And he was like, I guess I'd have to kind of sit and think about when I first started to notice it. And I was like, look, at the very least, it's not going to help. Like, it's probably going to make it worse. And he was like, yeah, you know, because the other day I was sitting at home, and like my shoulder started to hurt on this side. And I was like, why does that hurt? And I was like, my knee hurts and my tummy hurts. And I was like, you know, it could be maybe like a manifestation of that, because maybe on the days that it feels better, you're not as stressed. Maybe the days that it's really hurting you, you're going through something that's going on, you know? And so it's funny how pain kind of works, that, you know, it's not always, like you said, just this physical, you know, acute thing that happened.
Here's the simplest way I could break it down is, let's say you overeat, right? You overeat, you feel your gut bloated, and you're like, my spine hurts, my back hurts. Your gut's just distended because you overate.
Yep.
Right? It's not anything physical. It's just nutritionally created this physical problem because now you're distended gut.
That's a good point.
Right? And it's super simple. Or I'm stressing out throughout the day. And think about like all the nutrients it pulls from the body when you're stressed, right? And so it could be just your body doesn't relax and it tenses up all day, and then it's crazy.
Yeah, and that's super true because, I mean, if you ever try and like lay down, right, and be like, I'm just going to relax on my muscles, right? Dude, it takes, number one, it takes forever. And two, it's like, you might be like, okay, I'm relaxed. And then you get to like another level where you're like, even you can release it more and more. And all day you're like that, you know, and all day you're stressed and tensed up, and it's just causing these issues that aren't really manifesting from anything physical.
So before we go to studies, I want to admit something.
Go ahead.
I haven't been on TikTok for like 4 weeks.
I've noticed.
Is it because you're not getting anything?
Yeah. I don't have 900 TikToks being sent to me.
Funny ones and serious ones.
Yeah.
Dude, the reason I got off was because I felt like it was just getting too addicting. One. Two, it was just all, even though I wasn't looking for politics, it always propped it up. And I was like, I wonder if they're just forcing because this behavior on people just because they know they're going to get more like of the.
It gets a reaction.
What do you call it? Swiping.
Yeah.
And reactions.
Clicks.
Because I was trying, literally, I had to like type in a sport to see my sports clips and stuff like that. And I was just like, I don't want to see this political stuff anymore. Or I'll type in something that I wanted to see. And it was just, I'm tired of politics.
You had to go manually search for it.
I had to manually search. And I was like, screw this. And so I went to Reddit, and I've been reading dad jokes and stuff like that. You know, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it is interesting, especially how those algorithms will kind of like start to sort of catch up to you. Or like you said, start forcing stuff down, you know. On like a kind of side note, I don't know if I brought this up when it happened, but Spotify at the end of the year, they'll do like the Spotify Wrapped, which is where it shows you like all your top artists for the year and stuff like that. And a lot of people were getting Sabrina Carpenter, Chappell Roan, and like Olivia Rodrigo or something like that as their top artists that year. And everybody was like, you know, like, I like those artists, but I don't listen to them that much, you know? And they found this third-party website that you could go to, and it would analyze your Spotify stuff, and the top artists were totally different than the ones that, and so it's like,
because Sabrina Carpenter probably paid for it,
or her ad agency or something like that. And it's the same thing with like the political stuff. It's like they just want you to kind of like it's almost like gaslighting you into like thinking you care about it, you know? And I don't think enough people, like you said, realize it. And I don't think they take a moment and say like, man, why am I seeing all this shit? You know, like I should get off, you know? They just kind of like feed into it more and more.
Dude, like I would be like searching comedians and like seeing comedian, and all of a sudden a politic thing come up, and I'm like, fuck.
Why is this here, dude?
Yes. Yeah. It got me. All right, so our two studies. The first one is exercise boosts brain health even when energy is low. Researchers find exercise improves brain health even when ketone production in the liver is impaired. Right? So in the study, they literally looked at people who had been very tired, and also like runners and stuff like that. And they saw even when they didn't have production of ketones, when they exercised, it helped brain function. So they're like, for Alzheimer's, exercise is a big component. That's what they were talking about in this study. Did you read it at all?
No, not this one.
I knew it. So it was really cool to see, because like the data was like 20 to 30% more of effectiveness just because they're able to exercise. It doesn't matter if you're like malnourished or anything like that. That's what they were talking about. Even when people weren't fed, they moved, they were more efficient with their brain.
It's funny because the other day I saw a post, and I put it on my story, and it was like imagine trying to recover from a surgery and being fed this, and it was like hospital food, right? And it was
yeah. I know a poster talking
but
about.
It makes it, you know, like a comparison to that is this, because it's like all the people that are in hospitals and things like that, especially in like assisted living facilities or hospice care and things like that, who are dealing with stuff like Alzheimer's or mental, not a physical impairment, right?
Yeah.
A lot of the times, dude, there's no activity for them. They just stay in bed all day, watch TV.
Well, I mean, there's still surgeons who say, "Oh, after surgery, don't do anything.
Don't do anything.
Don't go to PT."
Yeah.
I can't believe they still don't do PT or physical therapy or go to personal training.
Yeah.
It's crazy to me that there's still doctors that say that after surgery.
It's pretty insane. And it's definitely not as many as it used to be, but the fact that idea still persists.
I mean, there's still like knees over toes is not a thing.
Yeah, you're right.
Like they're like, oh, just sit back, don't put your knee over your toe.
And it's like, how many more, articles need to come out? And maybe it'll never be enough, right? Maybe those people are just stuck in their ways, right? Who knows?
I don't know. All right. The second study was nudges improve food choices and cut calories when for grocery shopping online, right? So in a randomized trial conducted by New Smart, an online grocery store designed by Duke NUS team, the study participants were randomly divided into 2 groups and asked to make a total of 3 orders over a period of 3 weeks to 6 weeks. While those assigned to the control group used standard version of the store, those assigned the experimental group used the version of the store with the additional digital features that would be red, green, and amber in their choices. So healthy choice is green, amber is like, it's an okay choice, and red is like, okay, this is very unhealthy.
Wow.
It was a really good study. And of course, these people are wealthier individuals, they said in the study, because they want to try to do it there first. And then now they want to deal with the lower income people. And in the study, they showed that it did make their choices better because of what they saw the color. The color is green. They're like, okay, I'm doing really good over health wise.
That's funny. You know what I always wonder about is sometimes, I don't know if you ever, well, I'm sure you have, like gotten products from Mexico, like food products, especially if they're like junk food.
The ones that say
like
Hecho in Mexico?
yeah. And a lot of them will say in Spanish, excessive calories. And it'll tell you like, this is how much it has in there, and all this stuff. And it'll be big and bold on the fucking side of the thing, if you buy a bag of chips or whatever it is.
It works.
It's like, it works, and it's funny because in America, we don't have that. In fact, I almost feel like we have the fucking opposite, because I'll go to the store and see a box of corn dogs and it's like, great source of protein. And I'm like, is it?
The marketing in the front is all a lie in America. And the way they manipulate serving sizes in the back is a big problem too, because you look at it, oh, it's only 100 calories. Yeah, but for a quarter of it.
Yeah, a quarter of like crumble cookies, it's like they're like, oh,
it's only
it'll say like, oh, one serving is 200 calories, and you're like, oh, badass. But one serving is like a ninth of the cookie.
Yes.
And it's and so it's interesting. And I think that the fact of the matter is that a lot of people don't maybe understand nutrition facts. And we might sit here and be like, but how? It's so easy to understand. Maybe some people just don't.
A lot of people don't. I'll be honest.
Yeah.
It's really hard until you use it over and over.
Yeah. Yeah. But to make it so simple and just say this is a green product, that's a red one, that's a yellow one, can really make it more accessible for a lot of people.
My only issue with it is you can make meat a red product.
Yes. So I was just about to say, how would they end up categorizing that?
Correct.
Because it's like, okay, is all the vegan food going to be green? Should it really be? And so I think that's
and
where
then we know it's even more complex than that, because it could be like, oh, well, it's broccoli's green, but you have, IBS, and your broccoli is going to cause you to have more IBS because you've been too much prebiotics in the system.
Who knows, man? That's a tough one. It's a good idea. I feel like it's a good concept. It just definitely needs to be refined before being sort of produced to the masses.
All right, guys. If you like what we're doing, you can share, subscribe. We're on Apple, Spotify. You can rate and review us. Check us out on YouTube. Leave a comment down below. Subscribe. Put us on your notifications so it's on there every time. Our website is strengthsolutionspodcast.com. We have free blogs, free guides, and programs for purchase. strengthsolutionspodcast@gmail.com. If you want to email us future fitness questions so that we can answer them here. Social media, Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram, Strength Solutions Podcast. I'm Strength Solutions Edwin.
I'm Strength Solutions Nathaniel.
Peace out.